Hey guys, this looks like a fun one. It says, I've stacked 3 right-angled triangles to make this rectangle. What is its area? This is day 24 of our Aggvent calendar. For the month of December, we're going to solve 31 Katrina Ag puzzles in 31 days. And if you want to try this one, pause it right now, because I'm going to solve it in 3, 2, 1. First, let's darken this yellow a little. And then we're given that all 3 of these triangles are right triangles. So let's label these angles as right. And then for this angle down here, let's call it A degrees. And then let's make this angle B degrees. Since this is the edge of a rectangle, we know it's 90 degrees. So A plus B has got to be 90. And then for this lower right triangle here, these 2 angles have to add to 90, which makes this angle B. And then once again, this is 90 degrees up here, which makes this angle A degrees. And then in this right triangle, this is A, that would make this angle B. And then this corner is 90 degrees, which means this angle is A. So I know that was quick, but we know all these angles for sure. And then we can break apart the triangles and let's align them like this. Since these 3 triangles have 3 pairs of corresponding congruent angles, they are similar. And the scale factors between them will be in the same ratio as these diameters. So if we call this hypotenuse 5x because of the diameter of 5, since this inscribed circle has a diameter of 3, this hypotenuse would be 3x. And this has an inscribed circle with a diameter of 4, which means this hypotenuse would be 4x. And this shows the scale relationship between the triangles. And I think that's all we need, so let's move the triangles back. Since the top of this rectangle is 3x, the bottom would also be 3x. And since the side of this rectangle is 4x, this side would also be 4x. So now let's focus on this larger triangle. The area of this triangle would be 1/2 base times height, which would be 1/2 times 3x times 4x. And then let's rearrange things a little bit. 1/2 times 4 times 3 is equal to 6, and x times x is x squared. So the area of this triangle is 6x squared. This looks important, let's put a box around it, and let's move it up here. Next, let's focus on this red circle. The diameter is equal to 5, which means the radius is 2.5. So each of these would be 2.5. Let's take this radius and move it up here perpendicular to this side. Now let's draw one more radius and label it 2.5. This radius is perpendicular to this radius is perpendicular to this, and this radius is perpendicular to this. I did that on purpose. Now we're going to do something really cool. Let's break this into 3 different triangles. Let's draw this line here, and this line here. We have now broken up this giant triangle into 3 little triangles. And let's rearrange the triangles like this. If we add up these 3 areas, we'll have the area of the large triangle, the same thing as this formula here. So for this top one, it's going to be 1/2 base times height, which is 1/2 5x times 2.5. For this one, it'll be 1/2 times 4x times 2.5. And for this one, it'll be 1/2 times 3x times 2.5. And now let's simplify this. All 3 of these terms contain a 1/2 and a 2.5, so let's factor that out. And then after we factor that out, on the inside, we'll be left with a 5x, a 4x, and a 3x. 5x plus 4x plus 3x is 12x. And then after we multiply 1/2 times 2.5 times 12x, we get 15x. All of this simplified to 15x. So this is another equation for that same triangle. Let's break this out of the box, and since these 2 represent the same area, we can set them equal to each other. So we have 6x squared is equal to 15x. Next, let's set it all equal to 0. Let's subtract 15x from both sides. On the right-hand side, 15x minus 15x will go away, and we're left with 0. And on the left-hand side, we have 6x squared minus 15x. Both of these terms contain a 3x, so let's factor that out. And 3x times what gives us 6x squared? Well, that's 2x. And then 3x times what gives us negative 15x? That's going to be negative 5. So now we have 3x times the quantity 2x minus 5 equals 0. This will be true if either one of these is equal to 0, so let's set them both equal to 0. So now we can simplify these. For this one, let's divide both sides by 3. These 3's will cancel each other out, so we're left with x equals 0. And then on the right-hand side, let's add 5 to both sides. Negative 5 plus 5 will cancel each other out, and 0 plus 5 is 5. Next, we'll divide both sides by 2. This 2 and this 2 will cancel each other out, so we end up with x is equal to 5/2. So if we plug in 0 for this x, that would mean the area of our triangle is 0. This is not a valid solution, so let's get rid of it. That means x is equal to 5/2. Let's substitute this 5/2 in for this x. So we have the area is equal to 15 times 5/2. And then 15 times 5 is 75, so this becomes 75/2. This is the area of our larger triangle. Let's clean this up a little bit and smush everything together. And now we can find the area of our entire rectangle. The area of this rectangle will be double the area of this triangle, and double of this is 75. Let's give it a label of units squared and put a box around it. How exciting. Here's the next puzzle. It says the purple squares are all the same size. I've arranged 3 of them symmetrically inside each of the 2 black squares. What's the missing length? So this square has side lengths 12. This is what we're trying to solve for. This looks like it'll be a fun one. How exciting.